Hey guys, as you may know, I record podcasts with famous chess players on quite a regular basis. For example, I've done 2 with Jan Nepomniachtchi already. The recent one you can check out on this channel. It's a must-watch. Do not miss it. So in this video, I wanted to show you the game that we played against each other. Me as white, Jan Nepomniachtchi as black. I dared to play the King's Gambit against him, his own trusted weapon. For example, he has recorded a course on the King's Gambit and I've watched it, and I tried to beat the Grandmaster with his own weapon. Let's see how I fared. Just for the record, I'm a mere candidate master, and of course the skill gap is substantial, but it was a casual game, so we were both relaxed, trash talking. And in such a game, many things can happen. And it was a fascinating fight. Don't miss this. And don't miss my podcast with Jan Nepomniachtchi, with Fabiano Caruana. It's also a must-watch. I recommend it. And soon, upcoming podcast with Aronian. Subscribe not to miss it. Let's go. So let's tune in the game. I play white and I play the King's Gambit against Jan Nepomniachtchi, which is a very dubious opening from modern perspective. Computers say that it's horrible because you see this diagonal is opened, the queen can come out and check the king, this pawn can be taken, and this all leads to various complications that do not always work out for white, but it's always an interesting game, and I love interesting games. I love sacrificing pieces. I love gambits, and you know what? Jan Nepomniachtchi himself has a course on the King's Gambit, which I have purchased and looked through before the podcast, so I was somehow prepared. And also, I've been playing King's Gambit all my life. I've played when I was a kid. I've played in the national competitions. I had some good results, but I stopped when I was 14. A couple of years ago, I think my passion for chess has been rekindled. Now I'm back to studying it, and I'm back to playing King's Gambit. Even though the modern era computers think that they have refuted this opening, it's still much fun. And Jan does not take a pawn. He could have taken a pawn, which is the main response. The main way to counteract a gambit is to accept it. You are a pawn up and you have a great position for black. The computer thinks that it's already better for black. But Jan plays an aggressive Falkbear counter gambit. So whenever you try to impose your own play on a stronger player, on a grandmaster and a super grandmaster, top 2, top 3 in the world, like Jan Nepomniachtchi, you get this. He strikes back with his own counter gambit. Yes, he could have taken this pawn, but he invites me to take his pawn. He says, come on, man. Yes, let's do this. So I accept his pawn, he accepts mine. Now we are even, and this is one of the starting positions in the Falkbear counter gambit. I play the obvious move knight f3 because if I try to stick to this pawn, to not let it go of it, to protect it with my knight, I get queen h4 check, and unfortunately I have no viable defense. I could play g3, but this is simply horrible. Then g2 check comes and the queen, the pawn promotes, so this would be a very bad turn of events. So of course I protect against this check with knight f3, and black develops with knight f6. I give a check. This is all theory. Black actively develops, both knights are out, and here maybe many of you would think, okay, I can castle, I can safely castle, okay, I castle, but this would be a fatal mistake because whoop, queen to b6 checks both the king and attacks the bishop. And when I for example block, black takes the bishop, and this would be the stupidest defeat that I have ever gone through in my chess career. Obviously, I did not fall for this. I did not castle in this position. I played knight c3 to protect this bishop. Bishop e6 is also a theoretical move. I go d4 to attack this pawn with my bishop, and Jan protects. He does not want me to take this pawn. He says, no, 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 I will protect it. It will stay in your territory. I will guard it with all my pieces. I say, okay, let's castle. He castles. An important piece of advice: if you are new to chess, you should castle as soon as possible when you're playing. In that way, you will not lose immediately and have your king checkmated. Maybe you will have your king checkmated, but at least it will be more difficult for your opponent to do that. So now I play knight to e2. This move looks like it's a step back, but it's a step forward because actually I'm attacking this pawn now both with my knight and my bishop, and only the bishop protects it from the black side. So the black is on defensive now and has to protect this pawn with this knight, with this pony. Now I cannot take it again. It's like a very annoying pawn. I want to take it, but I can't. Okay, I protect my center with c3, and now black, in addition to giving its king some loft, some breathing space, also plans g5 to protect this pawn on f4 so that I could not take it. Here I go bishop to d3 with some ideas of moving pawns on the queen side, or maybe moving the bishop here, and Jan maneuvers his knight. So maybe the knight will go here, maybe the knight will go here, maybe the knight will go here. No idea, but it's a high-level maneuvering of knights, as we say. Okay, I maneuver my knight in the center, and now you see lots of arrows that I've drawn because look at the number of attackers. 1 attacker, 2 attacker, 3 attackers. Attack the f4 pawn. Only 1 defender is left because this bishop is blocked by my knight. So it's kind of a good move, actually, knight e5. I'm trying to take this pawn. And Jan says, okay, I'll add another defense to it. The knight will protect it from d5. Another knight protects it from h5. But actually, I have, as I already said, 3 attackers. So I can actually take this pawn. I have 1 more attacker than the defenders. This is simple maths, you know. But I decided not to take the pawn, which turned out to be the correct decision, as the computer overlords analyzing this position say, because if I take, takes, and there is an important check here. With an attack on both my king and my b2 pawn, I have to block with my rook, and there is a great move for black here, f6, to put pressure on my rook, and it's unclear. Black is to prefer in this position, but it's still unclear. Maybe I should have gone for this. It would be less pieces on the board, is always more a safer approach against a stronger opponent. But I decided to not to take this pawn. I decided in this position to attack the knight, maybe take the pawn later, maybe go c3, c4 was another idea. Jan defends the pawn. He says, you know what, you could have taken this pawn, now you're gonna regret it for the rest of your life. I say, okay, I go c4, I take another pawn. The b7 pawn is the low-hanging fruit. The knight retreats, and I take this pawn. Before taking this pawn, I stop for a second, and I try to see what Jan intended here, because it's just a pawn. Isn't it a free pawn? Maybe I am missing, I'm blundering some tactic, but actually no, it's just a pawn. Until I realized that in this position, as Gotham Chess Levy likes to say, Jan Nepo sacrificed the rook. Bishop takes e5, so he sacrifices the rook for great attack, and the computer approves of this choice. So actually, I'm up an exchange, as they say in chess. So I'm up a rook for a bishop, 2 pawns up. Here the bishop retreats. I retreat my bishop, an important move. Computer approves. I give up one of my pawns to get rid of one of the attackers, because whenever you're attacked, and in this position, make no mistake, I'm suffering. I'm being attacked. All black's pieces are looking at my king, and they are very hungry. Oh boy. So I need to neutralize at least some of them. I give up a pawn to neutralize one of them, the bishop. And here most of you would have taken the pawn instantly, like maybe a knight d5 or queen d5, which is an obvious move and not a bad one. I would have done that as well. But the difference between a super grandmaster and just an okay chess player like myself is that they see something less obvious when you don't see it. And Jan moves his queen to d6. This is called a battery in chess. So the idea is to hit my h2 pawn with his queen and bishop, and that would be very fatal, just like a thought experiment. Imagine this pawn does not exist. I would immediately get checkmated without it. So the threat is to go maybe f3 and destroy my king side. Black moves its rook to an open file, and now I miss a key tactic. Now I should tell you about my thought process. I was thinking, oh yeah, I have survived against Jan Nepomniachtchi for almost 20 moves now, so it's not a horrible, shameful defeat. Obviously he will win, somehow trick me, I think, but still I'm alive. This is great. And I started talking to him, joking with him about something, like trash talking, like they do on UFC, for example. And I missed the tactic. Obviously, I'm not as good as him. I thought, yeah, okay, I have to develop my pieces, which is a logical idea. I developed my bishop, but after g4 and attacked on my rook, I got really scared. I saw some variations when I move back and he strikes with g3, for example, hitting my king. Or he strikes with f3, which is not the best move, but still is quite dangerous. Or knight e4, attacking both my rook and my bishop. A powerful knight that could lead to serious complications. So I panicked and I thought, why not sacrifice and exchange back? So I took on f4. And obviously, if he takes back, I take with my bishop. He drops back, I exchange. And I have a pleasant position. I'm actually better because I'm still a couple of pawns up. Yes, they're kind of ugly pawns, d5, d4, but I'm not getting mated. And his king is also quite weak. So yeah, that would be great. But obviously he did not take, and I saw his next move. He did not take my rook here. I saw his next move, but I underestimated it. I thought, yeah, he could sacrifice the rook! Again, he sacrifices the rook. And I have to take. He takes. I take. No, I don't take, because if I take, I help him attack me even more. So an important move here is not taking, but rather going queen e5. And here Jan has a choice. Does he go queen d8 or does he go queen b6? He went queen d8, which is the best move. But he mentioned thinking about the move queen b6, which is not as good because of d6. And at that point, I was thinking, oh, I'm so clever. I saw d6. And I tell Jan, yeah, if you had gone queen b6, I'd go d6 and I'd have a great position. And he's like, yeah, I saw it. It's like bishop takes, queen b2, bishop takes, queen a1, king f2, queen a2. And he calculated it in like seconds. I was very impressed. I did not look very deep into this line, but I thought it's gonna be okay for me, and it was going to be okay. Maybe I'd lose still because of this a pawn, passed a pawn for black, but I'd have chances in this queen endgame. So he did not go for this variation, which would be a great practical chance for me. Instead, he just retreated, and now my queen is hanging. I cannot take his bishop, and the attack against my king is raging. He has two knights, two powerful knights ready to graze grass in my camp. And I have this meek rook, this not very charismatic and active rook, which is just like passively standing, observing in the corner. So I move back my queen. He checks me, wins one of the pawns. Now there is an important question. Where do I move the queen? Do I move it back? I almost moved it back to f2, which would have cost me the game immediately. So obviously the idea is to attack the knight, but here Jan Nepomniachtchi could have sacrificed the knight. Knight to e4, attacking my queen, and if I take, he goes queen h4, and the game is simply over because of the threat of queen takes h2, because remember this bishop, it's hidden right at this pawn and there is no viable defense here. So that would be a powerful sacrifice by Jan, but I did not fall for that. I went queen d3. Still, it's a losing position. Two knights here are much stronger than a rook, but I'm surviving. He took the pawn finally here. I activated my rook on the open file. Turns out it was a wrong move. I should have activated the rook to c1, to this file. And here the computer gives an exciting variation. Bishop takes h2, sacrificing the bishop, because if I take the bishop, there is knight f3 check. And once I take, my queen gets eaten by the enemy king. Yeah. Sad. So this is not possible to take this bishop, but I have a check. I have a check, rook c8, which is actually not that bad. So the computer here gives approximate equality. I did not see that variation. I did not spend enough time because I thought, yeah, I'm losing. I shouldn't waste Jan's time. I just went rook f1. He went knight e4, and look at those knights. These are the perfect squares for the knight. e4, d4. You should, if you play in chess, you should position your knights in the center of the board. And for the black pieces, d4 and e4 are two best pieces, best places to put your knight onto. And also you can notice that there is no c pawn that could kick this knight away. There is no e pawn that could kick this knight away, which makes this bastion on d4 impregnable. You cannot move it. The same goes for this knight. I don't have the f pawn or the d pawn to hit it, so it's standing here and it's here to stay for a long time. Here I tried to exchange bishops to prevent at least a battery of a queen and a bishop, and he obliges because two knights are much more powerful than a rook here, and it's obviously a winning endgame. Unless I can trade queens. Here he protects the knight, and I try to exchange queens. If I manage to exchange queens, because you see here there is a pin, there would be a pin, and he would be obliged to exchange queens, I would have some practical chances, not much, but the rook against the two knights, maybe I could eat some of his pawns, and two knights without any pawns cannot give checkmate to an enemy king. You should remember that. A knight and a bishop, yes. Two bishops, yes. But two knights do not mate a king. So that would be a practical chance, but he does not give me that. And if I try to exchange queens here, if I go queen c4 here, he has a beautiful sacrifice of the queen, knight to f3. And if I take the queen, knight f2 is checkmate. Very beautiful. This could be like on a picture hanging on your wall, I don't know, somewhere like that. But I saw that. I did not fall for it. I moved my rook back to prevent this knight f3 maneuver. So now it does not work. But he just moved back his, moved sideways his queen. I moved my king. He attacked me with a pawn. Now his knights are raging in my territory. And f4. Like, doesn't give me any chances because I cannot take. What would he do if I had taken? Do you see the move? 1, 2, 3. 92. It's a fork. Well done if you saw that. Write it in the comments if you did. So yeah, I cannot even take the knight. So I move back. He gives me a check. And here I resign because next move would be a checkmate. Queen h5. So that concludes my game with Jan Nepomniachtchi. I lasted more than 35 moves, I think. So this is still not something to be ashamed of. And I played the King's Gambit. I was not afraid. I'm happy about this game. Actually, after playing this game, I went to some tournament in Turkey where I'm currently living and scored 7 out of 7. It's a speed chess tournament, local. I mostly played local kids, so not formidable opponents like Jan Nepomniachtchi, but still it felt good. Maybe I gained some extra confidence and I started working on my chess. So hopefully this will reflect on my results. See you in my streams, and do drop a comment here under the YouTube video if you would like more chess related content, maybe podcasts with Daniil Dubov, or maybe new podcast with Jan Nepomniachtchi or other chess players. Select your favorites in the comments. I will try to reach out to them and make content. I'm Greg Mustreader. I hope you enjoyed it. See you. Bye bye.